So you're using Wix and you want to add a clear button to clear all of the filters that are filtering your repeater. Welcome back to the Wix Wiz. I'm Eitan, and today we're going to be talking about just that. For example, if you have a few different filters and you're filtering this kind of repeater here below, and then you want to add in a button that when you just give it a click, it will clear all the filters and set the filters back to their original state. Then you're in the right place, and let's get started. Let's start off by adding in the button. So I'm going to go ahead and add in a button element. I'm just going to look over here for buttons, and just any button will do. So I'm just going to go ahead and drag that in and attach it right over here. And I'll change the text just so it says here, let's say clear. And so I know that this is in order to clear our filters. Once I've added in the button, I'm going to open up our code panel. Again, if you're not sure how to open the code panel or do anything that I'm showing you now, we talked about it in the previous video in this series, so I'd recommend maybe pausing and starting the series from the beginning, or at least watching the previous episode to get up to speed. Then after I open up the code panel, I'm going to go over here and change the ID to be, let's say, clear button. Okay, if you want to be even more clear, you can do clear filters button or something along those lines. And once I've created an ID, what we can do is we can tap into the onClick event for the button. So this is what's going to happen when we click the button. As before, we can either write it out ourselves, or we can go ahead and add it in using the event handlers. So let me go ahead and I'll add in the onClick event handler. So you'll see it added it here over here on the bottom of my code. And I'm just going to go ahead and cut it out. And I'm going to put it here on the bottom, right under all the other filters that we created. Okay, so here we have our onClick event for the clear button button. And here, essentially what we're going to do is using some code, we are going to clear all of the filters that are applied to our cars dataset. Our cars dataset, just for those of you who are just tuning into this series, our cars dataset is the dataset that is connected to this repeater and to our cars collection, which has a list of like 1,000 or so cars. In order to filter that data set, what we're going to do is we are going to first make sure that the data set is loaded. So that's going to be our cars dataset dot on ready. And once we're sure that it's ready, we are going to apply a filter. So it's going to be cars dataset dot set filter. And this filter is just going to be a blank filter. So it's going to be Wix data dot filter, and that is it. Okay, so it's essentially an empty filter with no specified filter fields. And what this will do is essentially reset our filter. So there won't be any filter at all. So let's take a look and see what this will look like inside of the inside preview mode. So I'm going to go here into preview mode. And I'm going to select here a make, and I'll select a model. And then I'm going to go ahead and click clear. And you can see that it cleared the filters that we had. So the make and the model. One thing that it did not do is it did not change our dropdowns. So our dropdowns are still set to Mercury and Cougar, which is not optimal. So the next thing we're going to do is make sure that we reset the values of our dropdowns alongside our cars dataset. In order to reset the values of our dropdowns, what I'm going to do is under our filter for the cars dataset, I'm going to set the values of each of our dropdowns to null. So I'm going to select the makes filter dropdown, and I'm going to say that dot value equals to null. And I'm going to do the same thing for the models filter dropdown, dot value equals to null. Okay, null means essentially nothing, or nothing is selected, so it'll go back to showing nothing essentially. So nothing will be selected in the dropdown. The last thing that I want to do is I want to disable the models filter again. So if you recall, we set the model filter to be disabled by default so that only after you select a make will you be able to select a model. So now that we're setting both of these in order to be cleared, essentially, to be not selected, I want to re-disable the model dropdown. So I'm going to go ahead and select the dropdown, and I'll just disable it like that. Awesome. So let's go ahead and check out what this looks like. So I'm going to go over here into preview mode. And here we can select a make and a model and hit clear. And you can see here that they went back to being empty and the model has been disabled. Okay. If these dropdowns are turning red after you implement the code that I just implemented, I would go ahead and double check the settings and make sure that your field is not set to be required. Okay, because if a field is set required, then it'll throw an error and show the error UI when it's not selected. So, and it has been previously selected. So that is why you might be seeing your dropdown as red if you are, so just double check that. Luckily for me, it was not selected, so I did not have that experience. I'm going to wrap up for today. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you want to see the rest of this series. I'm very curious to hear what you thought, as this tutorial is on the shorter side, much shorter than my average tutorial length of about 40 minutes plus. So let me know what you thought of this kind of like more nugget-sized tutorial. Would it have been better to give more context, or is it good to just touch on one very small point as part of a larger series? I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on the matter, as well as any other questions or comments that you have about the tutorial. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. This tutorial may be over, but that doesn't mean that your journey has to end here. YouTube will have some recommendations up above in a moment for more videos, but don't get too distracted because my eyes are over here, and on the WixWiz website we have a lot more resources for you to continue learning or get support for your business or project. We've got a blog, beginner courses, and a community forum where you can vent about Velo or post some tough questions like, why does my header have a mind of its own? On the website, you can also find my personal calendar to schedule a one-on-one and details about getting ongoing assistance from our team of Wix experts. I'll catch you later, and don't forget that every big feature was once a small bug.